We are live. There we go. All right, let me bring my Twitter up here. This goes live everywhere, right? Twitter,
Yeah, well,
YouTube.
YouTube, my personal Twitter.
Oh, we're going to your personal Twitter right now.
Yeah, for some reason I forget why I wasn't able to connect them, but we'll get that done to where we post them directly to the Coney. But also, I'm a great follow as well. Like you don't just go to my Twitter. That's fine. It's all connected. I like it's just a lot of cross things going on. Sometimes I forget which Twitter I'm on when I respond to people or talk to them or.
Yeah, so. You just got to check that. That can be dangerous for someone that works in marketing and has access to a bunch of brand pages. You got to make sure you are not responding from the wrong page.
Well, you know what? I will never say anything on Twitter that I wouldn't say directly to people's face on either the 3 a.m. Coney or my own personal Twitter account. I have kept that rule since I started Twitter. So
there you go. No matter what age they are, we will argue with second graders if they are wrong. Yes. Or Browns fans, they're in the same bucket.
And everybody out there, remember, like, subscribe, and share on everything, especially the YouTube page. Subscribers there really are awesome, and they help. So if you check us out there, that'll be fantastic. And I'll do solo rants. Matt and I will do combo shows. We're up for football season, just like the Bengals are, just like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, and getting ramped up out in the West Coast. I mentioned Justin Jefferson because I have a weird inkling that he'll play for the Bengals one day in the far future. 31-year-old Justin.
It could happen.
Like, I would go play with Joe and Jamar. We'll see if I can win a ring.
Like T.O. coming over to just play with Ocho Cinco for a little bit. That was fun.
Let's not evoke that season. But that season was the season really changed, I think, as an organization with giving Duke Tobin a ton of power. And organizational change is kind of the big question today. Matt, everybody having those crisis conversations about Jessie Bates, about the Cincinnati Bengals, about the future of their entire contract situation, about how they guaranteed money. I mean, we've got so much to dive into from this contract dispute with Jessie Bates.
Yeah, and I mean, you are on the side that Jessie Bates will play with the Bengals this season. And that seems to be the minority right now as we are inching closer to 4 p.m. And you got people out there calling the Bengals cheap because of this deal that was leaked, saying that Jessie Bates is all these other fan bases coming in and saying, oh, he's going to the Eagles. Oh, he's going to the Saints. He's, come on over, Jessie. So, I mean, what do you think is going to happen, especially if a deal does not get done?
Well, the history of Mike Brown, he is not getting traded. You better come to the table with a first-round pick minimum and probably another starter if you want to get Jessie Bates out of the Cincinnati Bengals' hands. That's the only thing that's going to get a deal done. And I want to apologize for my mic quality. It's normally much better. I'm at a different location today. But Jessie Bates being a Bengal in 2022 is a guarantee. Because this is a man that's only made $6 million in his career so far, and he's got $13 million sitting on a table at a position that if he sits out a whole year, and God forbid, if he sits out the first 4 weeks of the season and Dax Hill is matching his production or even being 80 to 90% of his production.
Which he could.
Is that going to increase Jessie Bates' value for 2023 and free agency? No. The only thing that will increase his value is playing on the franchise tag. Le'Veon Bell is the only non-quarterback that refused to play on a franchise tag. And most quarterbacks end up playing on the franchise tag, even if they want a bigger deal, even if they want a bigger negotiation, because it's guaranteed money, and you don't make money in the NFL by sitting. You don't. That has never happened in this league. Jessie Bates, if he doesn't play this year, will cost himself money in the future. And that's why he's going to play in 2022, because no team is going to offer the Bengals enough for them worthwhile trading him when you're going to get a third or fourth round comp pick back when he signs a top 5 safety deal next offseason. So you're going to get a pick already. So you would need to come with at least a 4th round pick plus a 1st round pick, and plus probably so the Bengals can turn to their locker room and say, hey, this is why we traded Jessie Bates. You're going to need to get a starter, either on the interior defensive line or a left guard. And that deal is not going to happen because the team that trades for Jessie Bates wants to know that Jessie wants to be there long term. And we don't know what Jesse's motivations are beyond, I want a lot of money. We don't know whether he would want to play in the NFC or live in Philly or be with a certain quarterback or be with a certain type of culture and team. We know none of that. Organizations know none of that. And to get Mike Brown to move, it's going to take a lot. And that lot is not coming. And I've said this on a previous show. It is worse for the culture of the Cincinnati Bengals to trade Jessie Bates somewhere he doesn't want to go. Because you can't look at the team and go, yeah, we're trying to win for 2022. Because, we just traded this star safety. And we're trusting this rookie. If Jesse's holding out, that's on Jesse. The Bengals have guaranteed to pay him $13 million, top 5 at the current safety market, on a franchise tag that all these players agreed to in the last collective bargaining agreement. So if the Bengals are playing within the rules, if Jesse doesn't show up, he's the one that's out of bounds now, and you can survive that as a culture because, hey, business is business. You do what you got to do. I think Cheeto had a tweet like that. Hey, you go whatever you got to go for. You do whatever you need to do. And that's where the Bengals are with Jessie. This is where they've been since the Super Bowl. Right?
Yep.
The only thing that I could have seen getting this deal done is if the Bengals win a Lombardi and they get a little sweet. This guy had that huge interception before halftime. I think that if them winning the Super Bowl, I don't think you get Alex Karras, Alex Capper, or Ted, because I think this organization values their own players much more than they ended up valuing them after losing the Super Bowl compared to what they would have done basking in the glow of the franchise's first Lombardi.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you're cutting out a little bit with your fun audio video issues over there. But I mean, if you're looking at this from Jessie Bates' standpoint, he wants guaranteed money. We don't know anything else that he wants, where he wants to live, or if there's anything going on in the locker room or his own individual, whatever is happening in his mindset. We know that he had a little bit lower of what we expected his level during the regular season, turned it on in the playoffs, and I think the Bengals would love to continue to have him. I mean, Dax Hill being able to play safety, corner, like versatile, having both of those players on your defense automatically elevates them. I mean, we already know that the Bengals have a top offense. Now that they have upgraded the offensive line, and that's hopefully not going to be as much of an issue, you give Joe Burrow time, danger. But for the Bengals, if they, on the other side of that, if they cannot offer him all of this guaranteed money because they know that they're going to have to pay T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow coming up within the next few years, then I mean it might not be the best fit, and that's not the worst thing in the world for it to be a terrible fit between Jessie Bates and the Bengals where they currently are right now. But I mean, I don't hold anything against Jessie Bates. I think he would be a fantastic continued team captain on the defensive end. And it feels like whenever they have these negotiations back and forth and franchise tag, and the player doesn't want it, it's just this added animosity, and then everyone starts throwing in these rumors. And they're like, oh, well, it's probably this. Oh, it has to be this. And it's just at a certain point, I want to get past that and get back to football.
Yeah, and they will get back to football, and I'm not really concerned about that. But the main concern I have is actually the future of the Bengals being competitive in the NFL. And the reason for that is that this escrow rule, so for those of you that don't know, if you guarantee a contract the way Jessie Bates wants the contract guaranteed, if you guarantee a contract fully, you have to put that cash down, right? That's cash down. And Mike Brown is not that rich. He relies on the yearly revenue checks from the NFL. And I know that they're rich. I know that they're wealthy. I know that they're powerful.
Oh,
so
cut out there.
What they have to do, compared to other NFL owners, Matt, they are not rich and powerful in terms of Mike Brown and the Cincinnati Bengals. So this escrow rule has to change to allow the Bengals to be competitive. Because if they didn't have to front the cash, Matt, if they didn't have to front this cash, they would guarantee every dollar of almost all their contracts because that's what they've done throughout franchise history. Look at Trey Waynes and the money that Trey Waynes got for his contract. He only got $15 million guaranteed. He barely played way under expectation, and still made $30 million on his contract. So he got his. And if this escrow rule changed and the Bengals didn't have to front the cash, I believe they would completely change how they do business.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And so it's a shame that the Bengals have to go through that. And it's a shame that you guys have to go through my audio and video.
It's cutting out a little bit, but that's what makes live fun. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Well, we're doing a bunch more shows, too. And I will be back in the home studio.
I didn't catch the end of that sentence, but that was perfect. Perfect comedic timing. I will be back in the home
Maybe it's better on the live video than it is on your end. That's my only hope here. That's my only hope here, Matt.
I would hope so.
Well, because you're not cutting out at all. You sound brilliant and beautiful as you normally do.
Perfect. Thank you.
Let's talk about the other relevant topic, and then we'll get out of here and make it a short show since it's not one of the quality ones. Let's talk about those helmets, man, because that's the other big news.
I'm excited. Those look great.
Give me your
Those look great. I would love to have the Bengals come out full white helmet, running through the smoke into a snowy stadium. That's like camouflage. You wouldn't be able to see. They could come from the huddle into some kind of like looking like it's about to be a kneel down play, and you have no idea where the ball is, and you have no idea where any of the players are. They're wearing head to toe white. They would immediately change that rule after the Bengals won that game 90-0, but that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I love it. I think that this, Matt, is actually when there's another rebrand for the Cincinnati Bengals, whenever that may be, 2040, 2055, it's going to be the White Bengal.
2040.
Right? It's going to be the White Bengal. That's the next evolution of the Bengals logo and branding, because it's the only evolution that can be even more modern and new. And whenever they need to do that, which if it's like John Elway, you remember John Elway took the Broncos to 3 Super Bowls with those dumb D's and that popsicle cream orange color scheme.
Dude, you can't talk shit about a big D. Those are better than the B's. You're like, oh, the Cincinnati Bees.
Yeah, but the only way that I could see him moving to White Bengal, Joe getting to the Super Bowls and they can't win it. So then you're like, okay, well, let's really change the uniforms one more time and see if we can get some 1981 juice again and 2021 juice again from the uniform changes and do a full rebrand and change. Because the Broncos changed their uniforms immediately 2 Super Bowls with John Elway after he made 3 of them.
That's not a coincidence.
It's not a coincidence. You look
not
good,
a coincidence.
You play good. And those Broncos uniforms were outdated for a long time. They
That's
looked
right.
fine in the 80s, but they got outdated quickly.
Football is 90% fashion, 15% perseverance. Yeah, I like the big D's with the horse going through it. So if it was like a B, if the stripy B is probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen. So having the B and having the Bengal leaping through the bottom or something like that would be even cooler than nothing. But then even putting that on the helmet seems dumb.
Yeah, no, don't do that. But just make them white and then with the orange accents. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think they're never gonna go. They're never gonna go full white Bengals. They're never gonna say we're the Cincinnati White Bengals now. It is 2040, and that's what we do. White is good again.
Well, they better win Super Bowls, Matt. They better win Super Bowls, because if they win Super Bowls in these uniforms, that's great. Then nobody's gonna want them changed. But if they don't win Super Bowls with Joe Burrow 10 years. And they want to do make this organization fresh again with some new coach, I wouldn't count it out, because it's a great way to change the energy of a football team.
You know what I want as an alternate is full orange. So we're getting the white Bengal, and that's great. That was my number one. I want full orange, black stripes, tiger head on the helmet. Just looking like a bunch of tigers running around.
I don't know. Then it would look like the Hamilton Tiger Cats or something in the football league, or
Tiger Cats, the Cincinnati Bengal Cats. That's the next evolution. You just gotta add cats to the end of it.
I love White Bengal, though. Let me ask you this: do you think they're going to change the field for the game that they release it? Night football against the Ravens, Week 5, well, change the field. Although that's in Baltimore, that's on the road, so they got to pick another game.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for one of the 5 primetime games, they'll probably will change the field. I mean, they've been using the either the leaping tiger or the tiger head in more of their marketing, and I don't know if they're just like, we have a bunch of them, we don't have to use the bee for this, or if that is a conscious move that the marketing department is making, where they are starting to acknowledge these are at least better than the B, so until we do a full rebrand, let's use these more often. And so, I mean, having the Leaping Tiger back at the 50, so much better. That'd be so much better.
But imagine if they just did white end zones and the white Leaping Tiger for one game. And then
that'd be good.
If they win that game like 45-0, you'll like my idea even more of a full rebrand. I would be totally okay.
All of your ideas are contingent on if the Bengals are immediately so much better just because of it. Well, then I would agree with all of them.
This franchise has gone through 2 major uniform changes in their history. Two. Both years they did it. So I don't know like how I can seem irrational about uniform changes potentially affecting this team. I think that they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, and they're going to wear the White Bengal helmets in a very important game. And 10, 15 years from now, when we're in a new era, I think they're going to look back at the White Bengal, and it'll be the fan favorite uniform for 20 years. And they're like, you know what? Our next, and we are now we're White Bengal Tigers. That's our entire brand. And then we'll go back to the orange helmets for throwback.
I don't know. They're not going to get rid of orange. I do not see that happening.
In sports, Matt. It's the coolest, the white, all-white look.
It's coolest because it's an alternate. If you make it every week and then you see the all-white and it's getting scuffed up and you're just like, all right, now it just looks like they're just wearing white onesies now.
And anybody that doesn't
they're not going to get rid of the orange.
Anybody that doesn't like the White Bengal at all, like I just know you can't dress yourself because those uniforms are dope. I was going through Facebook and I started clicking on some of these profiles of you people out there that don't.
Okay, well, there's your first issue.
Well, but like, listen, I know Facebook's the hellhole of Bengals fans, but listen, it looks amazing. The all white, even if we're not thinking full rebrand like I've been saying, or that I would be okay with. Just the all-white alternate look is the dopest uniform I've ever seen a Cincinnati sports team wear. And if you don't agree with that, like I really question your fashion and style sense. And this is coming from a guy that has very little fashion and style sense. And so the fact that I see that people might be way below me in that metric, it really bothers me. And like, it's just, I can't believe they're doing this. It looks so cool. I can't handle it. It frustrates me because it is going to be a consensus best uniform in the sport next year. Consensus. When they rock that thing on a Sunday night under the lights with the white tiger helmet, it is going to be consensus one of the best uniforms in the league.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, even when they first came out with all the Color Rush jerseys, and you had like the Seahawks with the lime green, and then you had like the mustard versus the ketchup game of like the Rams Cardinals or something. It's like you see the Bengals and it's just all white, but it's like clean with the stripe, and finally having the white helmet to go with it, because that was everyone's butt. It was like, wow, Bengals look great in those all white Color Rush uniforms, but I wish the helmet was white.
Yeah, I wish the helmet was white. And now it is.
And now it is.
How many times do you think wear it? 3 times. I don't know.
How many what?
What did you say? How many times will they wear the white helmets? How many times will they wear them?
This season?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea.
Take a guess. Throw one out there.
I would probably throw it out there. Probably twice. But I mean, if they, so you have the Bearcats white helmets, and so I am traumatized from that right now, and how terrible the Bearcats have been in their white helmets. So let me ask you this. I don't care about how many times in the season. If they come out the first time and they look amazing under the lights, stylish, lose by 50. What do you do then?
Well, I'm going to be like, what color is Joe Burrow's crutches? Because that's the only way this team's ever losing.
That's the only way.
This is like, that's not a real.
They're white. White tiger crutches.
Go through Tom Brady's game log and find me the blowouts. That they're very hard to find. Very hard to find. And this is what
We're on to Cincinnati. Kansas City Monday night.
Guys, this Joe Burrow's Tom Brady. So the team is going to be at a certain level of expectation and performance across the board at every position. Certain expectation of physical fitness, certain expectation of knowing the scheme and knowing your role. And that creates a very high floor for a football team. That creates a football team that stays in football games, that's disciplined with penalties. All things we saw last year from the Bengals. Joe Burrow culture, the Zach Taylor culture, had only gotten its roots. It hadn't really grasped everybody in the locker room. That's why Jackson Carman came in out of shape, because he wasn't fully ingrained. Now he looks great. Now he gets it. Now he knows what he's around. And as the longer that hangs around, the more success this team will have. So if they go out and lose, just to answer your question in the white uniforms, I will not let it affect me. But I really doubt they will, because those guys are going to look in the mirror walking out in the field and go, oh, my God, I play on the coolest team in the NFL. I've got the coolest quarterback. I've got the coolest wide receiver. I've got the coolest uniforms. It's dope. And when you feel that way, you play great. And so I would really doubt that. That would be a heavy bet the Bengals week whenever they wear those whites. Because I couldn't imagine playing bad in that. I'd look in the mirror and be like, woo. Yeah, I play in this rec basketball league, Matt. They gave me an extra large shirt that doesn't fit me. It's baggy. I look like I'm 50 pounds heavier than I actually am wearing it. It's got sleeves that are too long, and I just feel great playing.
I would cut those sleeves off immediately.
I probably need to do that.
Rip them off. Drill the three.
Hey, we won by 12 last night, so I'm starting to get over it in my head how I look.
There you go.
So, but I think it's a real thing in sports. It's about how you look, how you feel about the logo that you're wearing. And Joe Burrow has changed how people feel about the Bengals logo. And this helmet and this look is a perfect encapsulation of that. And that's why I think it's important, because the branding of it will change future fans' perspective, kids' perspective. Listen, I teach kids, I babysit kids, I run summer camps, I interact with a lot of kids in Chicago, and the Bengals are the hottest thing around in Chicago. In Chicago.
Well, who are they going to root for? The Bears?
Yeah, well, exactly.
The Bears?
One of the cultural centers of the United States, Chicago. I can go to the park, and this winter I heard kids, Joe Burrow looking for Jamar Chase, and then they're hitting the gritty. I hit the gritty on a Chicago street, people will point at me and go, Jamar Chase. If I wear anything Bengals, oh, Joey B, so cool. And we just had the article come out that it's the fastest growing fan base in the NFL, which means it's the fastest growing fan base in sports. So add on top a really dope uniform and what will be a really great team, the team I believe will be the best team in the NFL this season. Rocket fuel, baby. Rocket fuel not even Elon Musk could dream about.
Start of the dynasty. We are witnessing.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that, about how realistic winning a Super Bowl might be, but I'm focused on the AFC North in the regular season and these uniforms, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, what was your prediction for this season for the Bengals? You're frozen in a super. Get a picture of that. All right. I guess that's it for us here on the 3 a.m. Coney. We will make sure that Lucas is still alive, and then we will be back.
For those of you still there, clearly we're having connection issues, and I apologize for that. We are going to get back to our regular studio in the next show. We wanted to get in our Jessie Bates conversation, though. We wanted to get in some conversation about White Bengal. Training camps coming up, ton of fun stuff with the Cincinnati Bengals and the 3 a.m. Coney moving forward. So if you can forgive us for the connection issues today, we would love if you subscribed. We would love if you gave us a like and all those great things that help us on the YouTube algorithm and everywhere else, so that we can grow, so that we can do the show more, so that you can hear us more and our opinions on the Cincinnati Bengals and other things, Cincinnati sports, as we move forward into what is the most exciting time, arguably, in Cincinnati sports history. So for Matt, I'm Lucas. Thank you so much for all of you guys watching out there live. Thank you, everybody who stuck with us through the connection issues. This is not a thing for us. Go look at some of our past videos. The connection issues will certainly not be a problem moving forward. I just had extenuating circumstances today, and I really appreciate everybody watching and listening. Jessie Bates will play in 2022. Don't worry about it. White Bengal helmets are dope, and I'm really not concerned about anything dealing with the 2022 Cincinnati Bengals. I am concerned with Browns fans, though. They seem to be in some certain kind of hell with this Deshaun Watson situation, and I hate all the interactions that I've had with about 95% of Browns fans this offseason. Just had to say that off the end of the show because I was thinking about it, because some guy blocked me because we were trying to have an adult conversation about how he's supporting a guy who clearly did some things that are beyond what people should be doing when it comes to massages. But we don't need to get into that. See, you got me ranting now. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks for hanging in with us through the issues. We'll see you next time.